For a long time, many people avoid budgeting because to them is like it's money going to be spent, and I'm always spending money. I don't even have maybe this money to spend. It's seen in a negative way of money being taken away. So once you have goals, you can actually budget with any amount that you have, not only high income.
There are those who have irregular income or the side hustles. They don't have like monthly income. How can they also create their own budget without missing out? Because then it is for all levels. Yeah.
Life will always have emergencies, but some of these emergencies can be defined. So most people avoid facing debt, and the more you avoid, especially with banks and circles, you tend to stay away. Yet these people are just reaching out for you to know, can we restructure this thing? Go sit down with your banker, go sit down with your circle and tell them, I am stuck here, I lost my job here, or I'm unable to do this, or the amount that you've been paying is quite high. Can I be able to reduce? Then they'll be able to tell you how to actually reduce that, and by increasing the number of months or years you're paying the loan, or reducing the amount that you're paying every month.
So how much or how low can we go in terms of saving?
And you need to look at the income you're earning.
What if a single shift in your perspective could transform everything? Welcome to Perspective Flux, a podcast dedicated to evolving viewpoints, lifelong learning, and personal greatness. My name is Jemima, and I'm here to guide you through the beautiful chaos of growth. Welcome to Perspective Flux. My journey, your invitation.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my podcast Perspective Flux. Remember, Perspective Flux is the podcast whereby your voice matters, your voice is very powerful, and your viewpoints are the most important key things that you have in your life. Otherwise, we are going to talk about money again. When you see Rina, the consultant here, the financial consultant, just know that we are getting fixed. Let's fix this. More month than money. Our topic today is going to be proper budgeting with the little that we have. Let me ask you something. Is the 20th of the month, your salary came in on the 1st, and somehow you're already wondering where it all went. Sounds familiar? You are in the majority because nobody ever sat us down and taught us what to do with money. By the way, that's very true. Not in school, not at home, not anywhere. We were just expected to figure it out. And here we are to be fixed by Rina, the consultant. The problem is rarely how much you earn. The problem is what happens to it after it lands in your hands. Today on Perspective Flux, we are having the conversation that your bank account has been begging you to have. We are talking about budgeting, not the complicated spreadsheet, MBA kind, the real kind, the kind that works when you're living in the real world with real bills, real family obligations, and a very real salary that never seems to be enough. My guest today is a certified financial consultant who has sat across the table from people at their worst financially and helped them find their way back. This conversation is going to educate you, challenge you, and most importantly, give you something you can actually use starting today. Welcome to Perspective Flux. Let's talk money. And before that, I'd like Rina to reintroduce herself again, because I know this is I think it's the 5th time we are joining the Perspective Flux and Acing Life with Jamie.
Yeah, I think
yes,
so. Yeah.
I'm so grateful, and I'm really appreciate you being here and just being with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me once again. I always enjoy your interviews and the discussions that we have. My name is Rina Namsia. I'm a financial consultant, certified financial consultant, and I run my own firm called Asim Consulting, where we do financial planning, investment advisory, financial literacy classes, and money management. So we are here today to talk with Jemima about budgeting and let's see how we can actually do the practical way, the one that actually makes sense to and not the ChatGPT budget that everyone knows.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. So this episode, you're going to have 4 segments. And in our first segment, you're going to set the stage. Why budgeting feels like a foreign language. Before we get into the how, help our listeners, our viewers, our very beautiful community to understand why do so many people, even those earning decent salaries, still struggle to budget.
I think budget for a long time has been seen or has been made to be like it's an Excel or a mathematical thing that you need to sit down and start doing. That is the imagination most people have. And the practical way of how many have been doing it is listing a list of expenses. You see, when someone says, I'm going to do my budget, what are they doing? They're going to write a list of expenses.
Right.
So for a long time, many people avoid budgeting because to them is like, it's money going to be spent and I'm always spending money. I don't even have maybe this money to spend. It's seen in a negative way of money being taken away. But budgeting should not be seen as something that is supposed to restrict you in how you spend or cutting your costs. Budgeting is supposed to be seen as something that is redirecting your money to different places. Now, the problem is these different places is what we've not been told. We've only seen it as expenses, an expense list. That is why people write an expense list and call it, this is my budget. Yeah.
All right. I know most of the people, when they hear the word budget, they feel like they are being restricted. They feel like being introduced to a diet. You know, like when you're doing your healthy lifestyle, healthy eating, you're put on a diet and you're told you're supposed to drink water, take vegetables. So they feel like they're being restricted and they're being put on a financial diet. Yeah. How would you reframe what a budget actually is in a way that doesn't feel punishing? Yes.
Okay. Like I said, budgeting is supposed to be a way of redirecting money to different places. Now, these directions of where your money goes is now what should define how your budget looks like. So make a budget be something that can also be part of you paying yourself. Like we had mentioned some time back, paying yourself is towards saving, is towards investments. So include all that into a budget. Don't just take a budget as cutting costs of your expenses on your bills, your rent, you need to reduce this. Let a budget be a tool or something that is redirecting your money to different places. And these places, let the things that also you have fun with in your life, or how you do how you say thank you to yourself, be included in the budget. And this could be things like your holidays, your vacations, you want to refurnish your house, your bedroom, you know, those nice things. You can put them as money going out in your expenses. Your savings accounts, your investments accounts, have them as lines in your budget so that your budget does not just look like cutting costs. So when you think of a budget or someone tells you need to start budgeting, they're not telling you cut costs. They actually see it as something that you want to use to have an awareness of how your money flows. Does your money flows into any savings? Does your money go into any investments? Or your money only flows into expenses? So when you draw down a budget and everything you write down be true to yourself, and you realize that the only place money comes in, yes, but the only place money goes to is expenses, then you're not having a wholesome budget. Also, it can inform you and make you aware that you only have one income stream. I mean, you list your expenses, there's so many, and you have no savings, no investment. Also, your income is only one. That is why maybe there is also a burden. So you ask yourself, when I start doing investments, then you start earning dividend, interest, you start having other streams of income. But if you never ever draw that, you'll never have that picture. So you don't avoid budget because it's only cutting costs. It's actually creating awareness on how your money flows in and out.
Thank you very much for that explanation. There's also belief that you can only start budgeting when you earn enough, because I don't even understand what is enough. But again, what would you advise any of my community member who earns like even 25,000, because 25,000 and below, or just 25,000, who has even put it that it's not applicable in his lifestyle?
First of all, I would want to say, I think this cadre in the middle are the ones who see budget as something not to do. But I've worked with house helps. There's a circle of house helps that I've worked with, and these are people who earn very little money. And most of these house helps and house girls have built homes, have schooled kids out of very little, very tiny amount. What that tells you is that every month they receive that money, they put aside a savings towards an education of their child, or a savings account to buy land, or a chama. So it does not only mean you can budget when you have high income. The small people, small earners have been able to budget. So you cannot start budgeting only when you start making. In fact, when you start earning high income and you've never budgeted, there's a likelihood your budget list is only expenses. It will continue being that way. But when you start practicing it with the small amounts, even if you have an income coming in as 5K per week or something, what can you do with this 5K? Remember, we are saying budgeting is not only expenses. You can say this 5K, I want it to be going to my chama or a sacco account, the whole amount per week. So that is you budgeting that money. They immediately it lands into your account, you've budgeted it to go through something. So once you have goals, you can actually budget with any amount that you have, not only high income.
All right, I think your explanation also gives us that, establishes that budgeting is for everyone at all levels. Yes. So ladies and gentlemen, as we move to our second segment, that is the building blocks, what a real budget actually looks like. We're going to have a commercial break, and see you then. On to our second segment, the building blocks, what a real budget actually looks like. Walk us through this practically, because we'd like to know how does it look like. And we have already said that budget is for all levels, not the higher or the lower earners, it's for everyone. So just even someone who is just watching us right at home, how would you advise them? How does it actually look like? Yes, and also what we need to do before the budgeting. Where do we need to start? What is really step one?
The step one of budgeting is to have an income, first of all, because let's assume now the income is there. So you need to now come up with a decision where your money needs to go. And that is your expenses, your savings, and investment. So ensure that your budget tool or your budget list or wherever you're using has those three categories. First of all, expenses, your savings and investments, and then your savings and investment. Then you can actually have even insurance, but that depends. You can have savings kando, and then you have investments, the main three categories. Now start breaking down the three categories each by each. Let's start with your expenses. So expenses, everyone has fixed and variable expenses. So define fixed expenses to you yourself as a person. Fixed expenses majorly are things like your rent or a mortgage that you're paying on your house, are things like your subscriptions of Netflix, DSTV, or wherever. Those are things that do not change on a monthly basis or whenever you just want to spend it. It could be maybe changed after a year or two or something, depending on the service provider. They're majorly fixed. Then define your variable expenses. Which ones are the variable expenses to you as an individual? These are things that they vary depending on maybe quality or where you're getting it from, and they could be things like your groceries, your gas vendors, those things. And most of the variable expenses are usually very you spend them, the turnover is high compared to the fixed expenses. Maybe you spend them on a weekly basis or 3 times like the gas 3 times after, after every 3 months. So define your variable expenses as well. Now, when it comes to variable expenses, there's also another breakdown where you have those ones that do not vary too much and those ones that you do not even know how much you'll spend on them, like eating out, your coffees, taking out your friends, and such kind of things. You do not know how much you'll spend. So ask yourself, how much do I need? How much does it cost me on my fixed expenses? Those ones are like a must kind of things. Your medical fee, your insurance, medical fees, rental. Those ones are a must. How much do they amount to? Then put down the variable expenses as well. So when you do the math, how much do you remain with versus your income? So most of the time, at first, you'll realize that your expenses eat up a lot of your money, probably even more than 60 or 80%. So that is a trigger as well, first of all, to you. But then you don't stop there. You now realize that you save either you put less into savings and investments, or there's something that you probably put in. So can you increase that? And what kind of savings are you doing? Are you just saving, or you have goals that you want to achieve, that you want to save towards to? So you cannot put money into savings or investments without proper goals. So break it down into 3 major categories, then define each one of them and be true to yourself and understand the math now the figures that go into each step that you have, and then start allocating. If it's fixed incomes, fixed expenses, how do I now allocate this month, the income that I have? If it's savings, how do I allocate them to against my goals? If it's investments, which kind of investments can I start with, or can I start on with the kind of income that you have? Yeah.
Perfect. I know we hear a lot of say about 50, 30, 20 rule, whereby we have 50 as your needs, and then 30 as your wants, and then we have 20 as your savings. But you know, even in Kenya, your rent alone is going to be 60%.
Or 100.
Yes, or 100. So does it mean that this excludes the average Kenya on this typical practical of the 50, 30, 20?
No. First of all, I always say there's no rule that is cast on a stone. So by saying that, usually I advocate for you to use a rule as a guiding plan. So let's say maybe you do not know where to start or how to start budgeting or allocating your finances, your income. So you barely don't know how much should I allocate towards my savings. You just know I need to start saving. But do I have a guide? No. If you do not have a guide, then you can use that 50-30 rule, which tells you the 10%. Now you can start putting 1,000 out of your 10,000 towards what? Towards saving. It's like a guide, but it's not cast on a stone. Because at some point, if you are also aiming at increasing your income, some of those figures might not make sense to you. Like, you might be able to be saving more than 10%, but the guide is saying only do 10%, you know. So you can be able to adjust and even say, I'm going to be doing 60, 5, 60, 20, 60, 20, 20, or adjust it to 40, 30, 30.
Yeah.
You understand? So you just use it as a guiding rule, but make adjustments according to your fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know you talk about budgeting. And what are these lines that are non-negotiables?
Non-negotiable
when you're
lines.
creating your budget lines? Yeah.
I would say non-negotiables,
No matter what.
no matter what, saving. We need to create a culture of saving. Other than your fixed expenses that you should be able to cater for, especially the basic needs, have a saving line as a line into your budget. You do not even have to start with investments, because that's another level of growth. Just have a goal towards saving into your budget. At some point, after like 3 or 4 months, if you're tracking your budget, you realize that you've been able to now save something. But if you never have that as a non-negotiable, you'll be having a budget over and over revising, wondering where my money goes. But if you have that as a non-negotiable, I think you can make something out of a budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
And perhaps also my community members here, my beautiful community members, the committed ones in this space, there are those who have irregular income or the side hustles. They don't have like monthly income. How can they also create their own budget without missing out? Because then it is for all levels. Yeah.
Yeah, create budgets with how you earn your money. If you're making money on a daily basis, Mama Mboga is making money on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, then you can create goals or savings goals that you can do weekly. You don't have to wait at the end of the month because that money might not be there. But if you're receiving money on a daily basis, join chamas or communities where people do savings on every evening or every Friday. You know, so then you're able to meet those targets when the money is hitting your account, rather than waiting for end month and there's no, because the money comes in and goes out. So if you do that budget according to how your money also comes in, you're able to make it work for you, other than comparing to someone who is earning on a monthly basis.
Okay, I agree with you. And my listeners, viewers here, it's very clear as per the explanation that there's also practical lessons that we can pick from there on the informal economy, and that should not worry you, because sometimes when you're doing the hustling, the side hustles, sometimes you don't know where the money will come from, but budgeting is key. And the only thing you need to realize and also to learn about is what do you need to cut and what are some of your key non-negotiables, even as much as it might delay from the side hustles. So that's very clear. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just come to the end of the second segment, and we are going to go to the third segment. That is the Kenyan reality. Budgeting when life has other plans. So this is a commercial break and we'll be back again. So if you're looking forward to check out on asinglifehub.com, there we have a lot of lessons to learn. We have the perspective flags. We have all the episodes in Asing Life with Jamie, where you can learn so many things. Asing Life with Jamie is a YouTube channel that talks about relationship, talks about money, talks about family. And here we have the podcast, which is the perspective flags, where your viewpoint matters. Remember just to check in and pass through the streets of Asing Life with Jamie, and that is perspective flags as well on the asinglifehub.com. Thank you very much. Welcome back to we're going to talk about the Kenyan reality, budgeting when life has other plans. In our culture, financial obligations don't stop at your household. There are parents, there are siblings, there are funerals, there are chamas, there's so many things. There are weddings. How do you build a budget around that? Without destroying your financial great choices?
Life will always have emergencies, but some of these emergencies can be defined. It's just that they get us off guard, but it does not mean they cannot be defined. You've just defined them. Death, chamas, and all that. Some of these things have been are catered for with products like insurance products. For instance, the insurance companies offer products that cover they call it last expense. So you can buy that product and have it cover your loved ones. It could be from your grandparents, from both sides, you and your spouse, if you have one, to your children. So we have those products that cover such kind of things. And actually, one product that I know is cheap in an insurance company is last expense products. They're usually not so expensive, I would say that. So just go talk to them or do your own shopping and find out which are these products in different companies that offer last expense, so that in case such a thing happens, you do not have to go dig deep into your pocket. The company actually gives you something to cater for those expenses. Now, when it comes to things like health, both for your family, your extended family, it's important that you also include a medical cover expense into your budget. And they're usually paid annually or semi-annually, depending on your pocket or the cover that you take. So shop around for medical covers. And if you also have, you're expecting even a child, most people go to start shopping for or signing up for a medical cover that has a maternity bit after the pregnancy. You'll actually have to pay cash because they count the number of months. So include those kind of expenses and things that you can define as emergencies to you, or things that you know going into your pocket as emergencies is not gonna be good to your pocket. So we have products that can do that. Then we have this thing, I know everyone has heard of emergency fund. Now emergency fund, how do you define things that actually fall into emergency? Because now everything that is abrupt will be emergency. So define what is emergency to you or to your family, into your family. So things like you have let's assume you have a medical cover for you and your entire family, or you have a last expense. So what remains as a medical expense? Remember, those medical covers not cover everything. Those last expense, there are things which are not covered or they are not listed. So as you're signing those products as well, read what is excluded there, so that any of these things happens, do you have funds somewhere that can actually cover for medical funds, or is there someone in the family that is not in the medical cover? Then they can be included into an emergency fund. And another thing could be another unpredictable thing is like, maybe you had not paid your insurance, your motor insurance for the car, but now you have funds somewhere where you know I was just going to pay my insurance cover, but now I have this accident, but I know I have funds somewhere that I can get up for such things, because you must have an insurance anyway, but sometimes people fall short to do such things. So define what are emergencies first. Not everything is supposed to be an emergency, because if you do not define it, everything in life every day is an emergency. So you have to define them. Yeah.
Very important to learn that on our cultural obligations without guilt. So let's talk about debt, because I know most of the Kenyans, we are into debt. So we call it SACCOs, bank loans, chamas, contribution, and all that. So how do we also still budget our way out of debt?
Budget your way out of debt?
Yes.
First of all, accept you have debt. And after accepting you have debt, sit down, which most people might avoid or do avoid. List down your debts one by one, from the highest to the lowest, or from the lowest to the highest, or the way they come into your mind. Those money, mobile money, debts, the help, loan, all of them, list them. Now list them against the amount remaining versus the interest that you pay against each loan. So you'll be able to understand which loan is giving me pressure, which one can actually wait, which one can I. Then after you do that, you can, all these loans you can always restructure. You know, most people avoid facing debts, and the more you avoid, especially with banks and SACCOs, you tend to stay away, yet these people are just reaching out for you to know, can we restructure this thing? So once you list those debts down, then ask yourself, which ones can we restructure and how, or which ones can SACCO buy a bank loan? Because I've done that with my clients. We've bought bank loans with their SACCO shares and taken a SACCO loan, which is less painful than a bank loan or a mortgage. So if you do not face them and list them down, and then you cannot be able to restructure them if you're avoiding them. So that is the first step that you need to do. And by restructuring them, go sit down with your banker, go sit down with your SACCO and tell them, I am stuck here, I lost my job here, or I'm unable to do this, or the amount that we've been paying is quite high. Can I be able to reduce? Then they'll be able to tell you how to actually reduce that, and by increasing the number of months or years you're paying the loan, or reducing the amount that you're paying every month. So anything is possible as long as you face it and go face your lenders. Yeah.
My dear listeners and viewers, I think it's very important that you have already understood how you can still manage the debt practically and still within your budget, without guilt, just involving your bankers, involving your consultants or your advisor to help you out. Just talking about savings, because, you know, sometimes after the expenses, there's nothing left. So how much or how low can we go in terms of saving, or is there specific, or how can you do it? Because you see, at the expenses, you remain almost like zero. How do you still save?
I'll be honest, at that point, I usually tell someone, you need to look at the income you're earning. Because sometimes there's so much you can just cut. And like you're saying, there's nothing left. If you force yourself to save, which I know most people or will be advised to do that, like just do even 500. Trust me, I've been there. You will go back to that 500 that you've been saving on a monthly basis.
Yes.
And it's not even much because you've not increased your income yet. You're just relying on that income years in, years out. Yet your expenses are growing. You're having kids. Grade 1 is not the same as grade 7. So if that is growing, your expenses are growing, you also need to realize that your income is also growing. But how do you also increase your income? This is looking at what are your potentials, what are your skills, what can you offer, what can you sell, what can you give. I always believe there's something you can do to earn money. But if you do not tell that to yourself, you'll always feel pity and always be a victim. Then you'll never realize that you can also increase your income other than just looking at ways to cut costs.
We'll talk about asset consulting this time round, and you'd like to also share with you the services they offer and also how you can get help. Over to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, at ASEMT, we offer different services. We have personal finance coaching, then we have financial literacy packages, and we have wealth management and investment planning. Now, on personal finance coaching, we have a one-on-one consultations, and then we have a 3-month packages, 3 6-month packages, and an annual package where we come and sit down with you. We talk about your money problems, your money successes, and just how to navigate about money management issues. That is savings, debt repayment, and how you can just start investing basically. And then on wealth management and investment planning, now there is where we have, people don't have a money problem per se, but they want to like accelerate where they are in their wealth. So we do come up with whether it is wealth planning for your children's education or retirement planning or property buying. We do a plan for you and walk the journey with you. And we also do investment planning and mostly do treasury bonds. We do take you through how to navigate, understanding it from the beginning up to the point of where you trade. We take you through it and we walk with you the journey of trading majorly just treasury bonds, and we also help you pick the best investment. And for stock markets, we also do build you portfolios for the best shares at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So we come up with a portfolio that actually fits you and decide for you, and help you decide on how to get to for your entry, whether it is dividend income stocks that you're seeking or long-term that you're seeking capital gains. We help you build that portfolio. And then we also have financial literacy. We also majorly just do the stock market, that is the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and the treasury bonds for us. So those ones come every month, and you can sign up through our links that we had shared earlier.
Wonderful. That is asset consulting for you. So on our fourth segment, we have tools and habits, making the budget stick. Now, Rina, what are some of these simplest, most accessible tools that you can use, to help us track the budget, especially if they don't have smartphone or data to afford those fun apps?
Okay, if you don't
those
have
fancy apps.
If you don't have a phone, a smartphone, just have a good book to write your expenses. And we do actually have people who are still old school and love it like that. So there's nothing wrong with having a book where you write your budget and how you spend your money, or your money wishes, or your money, like just anything about your money. You can still do that. There's nothing wrong about that. For those who can afford to have a laptop or something, you can do Excel spreadsheets and just be listing your budget list, your budget items on Excel.
Okay.
Yep.
Just a few questions. How often should someone review their budgets?
That depends. There's no standard defined time of how you should review your budget, but I will say every 3 months is advised, because when you're doing a budget, you're also trying to build a pattern out of your habit on how you spend and save your money. You can see a pattern like 3 to 4 months. So review that after every 3 and 4 months and see how is your pattern. Are you building savings, or you're just sticking still under expenses? Less than that, you might not see a good pattern, but 3 to 4 months you can see a good pattern for review.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So what are some of the top 3 signs that shows you that this budget that I have come up with is working? Just as someone who is really trying to, you know, to manage their finances and also to bring this habit of budgeting as a, you know,
Your
a
budget
habit.
is working.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're doing a review and you can tick the boxes,
Oh, wow.
that's a sign, you know, that it's actually working for you. Because if you're not able to tick some of those boxes, which are achievable things, we've been able to pay this bill, or we've been able to save this month, then it means either you overdid your goals, like I want to save 100,000 every month, so you need to scale down and go back to reality. If you're not able to tick those boxes, then ask yourself why. Just be true to yourself. So if you'll be able to tick the boxes, then it means whatever you had structured is working for you.
That's great. I know, Rina, in your space, in your capacity, you meet the public sector, I mean clients, they are private sectors, up to high-end people. I know the types of clients you have, and some of them are really on the higher positions in this country as well, even outside the country. But without mentioning or without revealing so much information, what are some of the transformative stories you've seen someone coming from A to Z? And I think this will also encourage some of our community members to just learn from it and know that it's doable, whichever way. Yeah.
I think from my clients, I've picked up a few things. There's one client who came to me, had the fear of investing in treasury bonds, but at the same time wanted to build a passive income. But she's a very busy lady, so she's not going to go into things that involve a lot of her time. And she had a lot of property in land here and there. And we were able, in 3 years' time, we've been able to build her bond portfolio that is giving her relatively every month 76,000 per month. You know, bonds pay you every 6 months, but you build her a bond portfolio, almost every month is covered right now. That is in 3 years. And it has come to averagely 76,000 per month for her. That is passive income for her. And she's been able to shed off that some of those property that were not working for her. So not looking forward to building those property. It was hard to sell them, but you had to also mentally be ready that she might sell them at a loss or not at the amount she was figuring out, and accept that. And also, when we were doing the treasury bonds, you know, we started it at a time when the new government was coming in. There was issues about, you know, treasury bonds and this and that with the government not being able to pay. There was a lot of misinformation, and even the journey towards her receiving the first coupon was stressful to her, because she was not sure this money is in a safe place and she was good. But the first time it hit in her bank account, she gave me a tip out of it, because now she felt like, you mean this money came into my account? It's working. And that's how she continued building the portfolio of the treasury. Now there's another one who had a mortgage and wanted to quit her job, but the mortgage was tying her to the job. So that is how we restructured the mortgage into a circle loan, and she was able to now pay the circle loan comfortably, other than the mortgage that was stressful. And now she quit her job and she's running her own company as well. So those are the 2 highlights that I can mention as of now. Yeah.
Wow. Those are powerful stories, and it's just a testament that when you budget properly, you'll soon be very happy.
Yeah.
And I mean, small step, one step at a time. Yeah. Compounds. There's little wins, compounds every day, and it becomes a bigger thing. So anyway, we are coming to the end of this. As you can see, I just want to get to the crossfire sessions. We are going to give you the scenario, the situation, then you give me the answer. Just be precise. I don't explain. I'll not ask, but I can ask you if I feel like.
All right.
So, someone earns 15,000. Should they even bother budgeting?
Yes.
You've been budgeting for 2 months and you keep failing. Do you give up or try again?
Try again.
Is it ever okay to borrow money to cover a budget gap?
Yes and no. Depends. You want me to explain?
You borrow to cover the budget gap. I was supposed to save 10,000. It is less in my account. I go to so and so and borrow to pay that, or you can push it to the next month.
Okay, that's why I said yes and no, because it depends which is this thing that is a gap. That was what hit in my head. Is it a gap? Is it something that is mandatory to be paid?
Is it a need?
Is it a need? And how also are you borrowing? Is it a loan that you are able to afford and from a reliable source as well? Not just any, like a Shylock loan or something. Yeah.
Your partner does not believe in budgeting. How do you handle that?
Okay. Handle your money, let you handle it.
Your money is your money. Hey. All right.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. But yeah, your answer is your answer. There's no right or wrong answer. Yeah, it's yours, man. But me, I would, if your partner does not believe in budgeting, now let's talk about this thing. If your partner doesn't believe in budgeting, but you believe in budgeting, may the good Lord guide and bless you.
So many variables to be discussed. Is he covering the basics?
Yes.
Or is she
Or
covering
maybe,
what
yeah,
she's supposed to be covering? If she's doing that or he is doing that, he's playing his part or she's playing his part.
By the way, let me
Then
tell you,
you
next
deal
time
with
next time I invite you in this channel, please be prepared to talk about marriage and finances.
Okay.
Sijui hata watajua.
There's someone I advised to walk out of an engagement because of money issues, and she was not sure, but now she's happy she did. Of the different scenarios she put on the table, and I was like, you're gonna do this, but this is I'm very sure this is what you're gonna have very big and bad conflicts. You're not on the same page money wise and how you handle money, and just walk in knowing this is what might happen. And she came to that decision a year later by herself.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this episode. If this resonates with you, kindly hit the subscribe button so that you never miss any of our videos when we upload them. Before you close this up, before you move on the next thing, I want you to do something, just one thing. Open your M-Pesa statements right now. Just look at it. No judgment, just look at it. Where your money went to last month. That single act of awareness is the beginning of your budget. And if you already go further, write down things. Number 1, what comes in every month. Number 2, what must go out every month. Number 3, what's left and where it's actually going. That's your first budget. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. Share this episode with someone who needs this conversation. Tag us, send it to your group chat, post it on your story, because financial freedom starts with a conversation. And that conversation just happened right here on the Perspective Flux. Until next time, spend less than you earn, save more than you think you can, and never stop growing. This is Perspective Flux, where every perspective has the power to change a life. Thank you very much. I was your host, Jemima Gore. Remember, growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the flux. Welcome to Perspective Flux. Let's grow together.